right, so picture this. You're in a foreign country, right? Feeling brave, ready for a new adventure, want to really experience the culture. But there's one thing you can't avoid. You need a haircut.
We do.
And suddenly you've got this challenge. Got to explain what you want in another language. So in this deep dive, we're going to give you the English skills to confidently get that haircut anywhere in the world.
What's really cool about barbershops is they're like these little cultural centers, bringing people together, different styles, different traditions, all around the world.
Totally. So let's get to the essentials, right? What phrases can help someone walk into a barbershop and get the haircut they're looking for?
Well, first impressions matter, so start with a friendly greeting. You can keep it simple. Hello, good morning, works every time. Then just let them know why you're there. I'd like a haircut, please.
Easy enough, yeah. But then how do you explain what you actually want? I mean, there are so many styles, lengths. Where do you even begin?
Right. It can be a little overwhelming. But clear communication, that's the key. Start with the basics, describe the length. Short, medium, or long.
Okay, that makes sense. But what if you want something, I don't know, more specific? Like, how do you explain fades, tapers, or layers?
Now, things get interesting. You can use phrases like, I'd like a fade on the sides, or could you taper it in the back? And if it's layers you're after, just say, I'd like some layers to add volume. Don't be afraid to use your hands. Show the barber what you mean, where you want the length to change.
Good tip. Using gestures, that can really help.
Yeah.
But what if there's this style you're thinking of and you just can't remember the English word?
Happens to all of us. In those situations, picture's worth 1,000 words, right? Show the barber a photo, something you like, and say, I'd like something like this, please. Even if they don't know the name of the style, they'll get the idea.
That's a relief. It takes the pressure off, not having to know every technical term. Okay, so what about specific features? Like, what if you want to talk about your sideburns or an afro?
Perfect examples. For sideburns, you can say, I'd like my sideburns trimmed, or I want to keep my sideburns long. And for an afro, you could say, I want to maintain my afro, or I'd like my afro shaped.
Those are really useful phrases.
Yeah.
Now I want to dig into some of the vocabulary you might hear in a barbershop. For example, what does it mean when they say hair is silky?
Silky means smooth and soft, like, silk, luxurious feel to it.
I love that. And what about shiny? You hear that one in all the hair commercials?
Shiny means the hair reflects light well, usually means it's healthy, well-conditioned, has a natural radiance.
Okay, both great descriptions. So what about the phrase grow out? How would you use that?
Grow out just means to let your hair get longer. So you might say, I'm trying to grow out my bangs, or I'm growing out my hair for a special occasion.
Makes sense. And last one, what about fluffy? What does it mean when someone says their hair is fluffy?
Fluffy means light and airy, usually lots of volume. It's got that soft, bouncy quality.
Wow, those are such vivid descriptions. Language really captures those nuances, So have you ever tried to get a haircut in another country? What were the challenges? Or maybe you had a success story. We'd love to hear from you.
I think it's important to remember, even if you make a mistake or two, the barber will probably understand what you're trying to say. Don't let that fear hold you back from practicing your English.
That's encouraging. It's all about taking that leap, right?
Yeah.
Even if you're not 100% fluent.
Exactly. And I think that's a good spot for us to move into some tips for improving your English, specifically for barbershops.
All right, let's do it.
One of the best ways to get better at English for anything, really, is to really immerse yourself in it. You could watch movies or shows set in barbershops, maybe listen to podcasts about hair and styling, or even read articles, blog posts about different cutting techniques, that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah, that's a great idea. You just surround yourself with the language, and it all starts to sink in naturally.
Exactly. Another good tip is to practice speaking English with native speakers whenever you get the chance. Could be conversation groups, you could find a language partner online, or even just chat with some friendly locals,
I think that's so important,
Yeah.
We can get stuck on grammar rules and vocab lists, but we forget to actually use the language, have real conversation.
That's true. And speaking of conversations, I think it would be helpful to actually hear some of these phrases in action. Let's say you walk into a barbershop, in an English-speaking country. What might that sound like?
Okay, let's try it out. Good afternoon. I'd like a haircut, please.
Sure thing. Come on in, have a seat. What kind of haircut are you thinking about today?
Let's see. I'd like to keep the top kind of long, but the sides and back shorter. Could you give me a fade on the sides?
Absolutely. Do you have a specific length in mind for the top? And would you like a high, mid, or low fade?
I think a mid-fade would be great. And for the top, maybe just a trim to clean it up. Nothing too drastic.
Sounds good to me. I'll get started right away. Just let me know if anything feels too short or you want me to adjust anything as we go.
Will do. Thanks so much.
So, are you from around here?
Actually, I'm visiting from insert country name. I'm here on vacation. Thought I'd try a local barbershop.
That's great. What brings you to this part of the world?
Well, I've always been fascinated by the culture here, the history. Really enjoying exploring the city.
I bet. There's so much to see and do around here. Are you planning on staying for a while?
Yeah, I've got another week here, so much more to see. So as you can hear, even with just a few basic phrases, that willingness to communicate, you can have a good experience at the barbershop, even if English isn't your first language.
Absolutely. And remember, the barber's there to help. They want you to be happy with your haircut, so don't be shy about asking questions, making sure you're both on the same page. Such a good reminder. We can feel self-conscious about our language skills, but people are usually understanding and willing to help, you know?
Okay, but what if you're in the chair and you totally blank on the word for something, like a technique or a specific style? What do you do then?
Don't panic. This is when those visual aids we talked about earlier come in handy. Got a picture on your phone, show it to the barber, say something like, I'd like something similar to this. Or you can try to describe it using simple language and gestures, you know?
Oh, that's a great point. Pictures, gestures, they can be really powerful when you're talking about visual things like hairstyles.
Exactly. And most barbers are used to working with people from different backgrounds, so they understand the challenges of communicating across languages. They'll be patient, they'll work with you to get you the look you're after.
That's reassuring to know. It takes the pressure off knowing you have someone there who wants to help you get the result you want.
Okay, so fast forward a bit. Imagine the haircut's finished, you're happy with how it looks. How do you tell the barber that?
Well, you could say something like, wow, this looks fantastic. Thank you so much. I really love how you did the fade. The length is perfect.
Perfect. That kind of personal touch, it shows the barber you appreciate their skill, you know. And don't forget about tipping. It varies around the world, but it's generally good etiquette to tip your barber 15–20% of the haircut price.
All excellent points. So to sum it all up, what are some key takeaways our listeners should remember when getting a haircut in an English-speaking country?
First and foremost, don't be afraid to communicate. Even if your English isn't perfect, a few basic phrases, some gestures, and a willingness to ask questions can go a long way.
Couldn't agree more. It's about taking that first step, starting the conversation.
And secondly, remember that visual aids, pictures, gestures, they're your best friends. If you can't find the words, use those tools.
Yeah, it's a good reminder that communication goes beyond just words. It's about using everything you can to connect with others, express yourself.
And lastly, think of this as a learning opportunity. Every time you use English in a new situation, even something as simple as getting a haircut, it's a chance to grow your vocabulary, get more fluent, and build your confidence.
Love that.
Yeah.
Turns a potentially stressful thing into a positive, enriching experience.
Exactly. Who knows, you might even make a new friend.
That's true. You never know what kind of connections you'll make when you're practicing your English somewhere new.
So for our listener out there, have you ever been in a spot where you had to use English for something specific, like getting a haircut? What did you do to get past the language barrier? And as we wrap up this deep dive into barbershop English, I want to leave you with a final thought. You know, learning a new language, it's kind of like learning a new dance.
Oh.
At first, it can be awkward. You don't know the steps. But with a little practice, some patience, you find your rhythm, get more confident. Eventually, you're moving with grace and ease. And just like dancing, speaking a new language, it opens up a whole new world, you know? New experiences, new connections.
I love that analogy. It really does capture that feeling, that transformative power of language learning. It goes beyond just words and grammar, right? It's about connecting with other cultures, expanding your horizons, all these new possibilities.
Exactly. And remember, even small steps can lead to big progress. Don't be afraid to start small. Order your coffee in English, ask for directions, chat with someone you know. Every interaction, even a short one, it helps build that confidence, that fluency.
It's encouraging, right? It's like that saying, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step.
That's it.
Yeah.
And speaking of journeys, let's get back to the barbershop. Imagine you've gotten that haircut, all in English, you're feeling good about it, ready to go out with your fresh new look. What's the most important thing you've learned?
I think for me, it's that communication. It's so much more than just words. It's body language, your tone of voice, facial expressions, the willingness to connect with someone, even if there's a language barrier.
Absolutely. It's about embracing those imperfections. Celebrating the fact that you're connecting with another person, even if it's just for a few minutes in a barber's chair. So next time you're in a new country and need a haircut, remember what we talked about. Take a deep breath and walk into that barbershop with confidence. You might surprise yourself with how much you can communicate, how much you can learn, how much you can connect with others, even while you're still learning the language.
That's such a great way to put it. It's a reminder that language learning, it's a journey, not a destination. It's about enjoying the process, those little wins along the way, and never forgetting the joy of human connection.
Well said. And with that, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into barbershop English. We hope you've learned some useful phrases, picked up some new tricks, and feel a bit more confident about using your English.
Until next time, keep those clippers sharp and those communication skills even sharper.